I once had a secret fort, a leafy cove of gold and emerald green, with occasional glimmers of daylight breaking through the foliage. Small, too small for an adult, but a perfect fit for a compact second grader, if she curled into a ball and kept her head down. You might assume that a child who spends her recess hidden in the hedges is lonely and unhappy. I was neither. My friends were kind and funny, despite being of the invisible sort. And, regardless of the concerns of the adults in my life, I was content. I knew that if I just continued disregarding their misinterpretations of my world, it would remain intact and real enough to sustain me. That's not the backstory I promised you in the last chapter. The origin story of Master Joshua and his slave Karma takes place in a different country, 20 years later. In 2018, I was working as a staff writer for a small New York-based community newspaper. It was a decent job, if slightly mundane, and having my name on the newspaper's masthead allowed me to pitch bigger and better publications with stories that interested me more. These stories centered on a certain type: outsiders, rebels, misfits, misunderstood geniuses, people who were at odds with their environments in some unusual way. It was pure chance, and admittedly some latent curiosity, that led me to pitch Vice News a feature about religious people in NYC's kink scene, a scene I knew nothing about. I asked around, and a colleague referred me to Master Joshua and his partner, that's him, yes, who produced BDSM events. They had a monthly roundtable discussion coming up, which they offered to devote to my topic. The roundtable would be followed by a BDSM play party, and I was invited to stay for that as well. It would be my first IRL kink event. At the time, having known about BDSM only from kinky romances, I was expecting something airy, along the lines of a burlesque or a cosplay party. The reality of it caught me off guard. The rawness and vitality of BDSM play shook me, like a jolt of electricity, like a slap, like being suddenly awake and only then realizing that I was half asleep before. Watching Joshua play in particular evoked a fascination that went beyond the professional, which was a problem considering that I am married with 2 young children. I had thought my marriage solid, but meeting Joshua threw its weaknesses into sharp relief. It might have been the ongoing toll of life with toddlers, or all the fights we had, or all the fights we didn't have, the silent nothingness congealing between us. I love David. He is my home, my shelter. But all it took for Joshua to draw me out of pocket were a few friendly texts. My job allowed me to question Joshua openly about who he was and what he did. He replied in kind, leaning into my curiosity. He had not one but several lovers, not one but several sexual identities, genders, vocations, personalities. Long before the word became part of our vernacular, Joshua embodied fluidity. He was different than anyone else I knew, his life force burning brighter and fiercer than others. I wanted to learn how to be like him. Following Joshua's advice, I confessed to David about my interest in kink and incorporating it into our marriage. David had no such interest himself, but once he realized I would not be deterred, reluctantly agreed that I explore the topic on my own, providing that I don't go too far. I took him up on it, though I wasn't on my own. I was with Joshua, and too far had already happened the moment Joshua and I had locked eyes. We did our best to keep things in line. Over the following year, as Joshua led me through the carnal wonderland of kink, birthing new sensations, emotions, and facets of identity with every new flick of his wrist, we set boundaries to protect my marriage. We couldn't keep to them, and before the year was out, my exploration became a full-fledged affair.
Hold on one second. There's a few people who are new, and
Yes.
Could you just say what you're reading from and the previous book?
Sure. I am reading from a serial publication called Your Body Feels Like Home, chapters from a journal of a sexual nomad. It's still new, so the name doesn't roll yet. And this is a sequel, a serial publication sequel to the original book, which was Surviving Master Joshua, the BDSM memoir of an unfaithful wife, which was written 7 years ago and describes the story of me meeting Joshua, discovering kink, opening my marriage, shifting into non-monogamy, and becoming his slave, Joshua's slave.
Cool. Now, just real quick, when you look for it, search it on Google, because you won't find it on Amazon if you search for it through there, because it is available through ebook. But if you search Surviving Master Joshua...
Yeah, search on Google and all the Amazon links will come up, but search it on Amazon and you'd have to, like, dig.
It's like page 47. So thank you for pausing. I just wanted to make sure everyone was brought up to date.
Yeah. I did something to piss Amazon off, was the labeling of... You can't use terms like BDSM on your cover that much.
Thanks, Amazon.
We did our best to keep things in line. Over the following year, as Joshua led me through the carnal wonderland of kink, birthing new sensations, emotions, and facets of identity with every new flick of his wrist, we set boundaries to protect my marriage. We couldn't keep to them. And before the year was out, my exploration became a full-fledged affair. While it's understandably the less popular point of view, infidelity can be as crushing for the betrayer as it is for the betrayed. The lies eat right through your soul. It's like drinking a spoonful of bleach with your coffee every morning, going through your day deathly sick, only to greet the next morning with a bigger spoon. I desperately wanted out of the situation, but I would not let go of Joshua. I knew ours to be one of the most pivotal relationships of my life. Nor could I bring myself to risk the home I built with David by coming clean to him. It was Joshua who eventually broke the gridlock. I know what needs to be done. I'll help you. I'll be your dominant, and you will be my submissive. I will get you a collar, and you can wear it once you earn it, once you prove your commitment. You'll prove your commitment to me by telling David the truth. It took several weeks of coaching till I could look David in the eyes and say, shakily, I broke my word. I cheated, and I lied about it. I'll tell you everything now, everything you want to know. And when you know it all, you can decide what you want to do next. We can talk about divorce if that's what you want. Or we can talk about how we could possibly stay together, because people do this. There's more than one way to be a family. And I really, really hope you choose that, because you and the kids, you're my life. It took several months more for David's icy anger to thaw enough for him to reply with a sigh. I do believe that marriage shouldn't be a cage. It should be whatever we agree it is. And agreements can be changed. You broke the one we had, and that's on you. But let's talk and see if we can reach a new one. During those tense, uncertain months in between, my heart remained surprisingly calm. I knew that whatever the outcome, telling the truth was the only choice. It was evident from how cleansing it felt. As importantly, I knew that whatever the outcome, Joshua would be there to help me through it. That feeling of taking a terrible leap of fate, which instead of plummeting sent me floating upwards, that feeling changed me. I began believing in the power of my own belief. I began believing that rather than a mere cliche, the phrase, everything is possible, was a call to action. I became brave in acting on it. That period was nothing short of a spiritual rebirth, and I credit Joshua for it. His guidance and support were what made it happen. From that point on, I trusted Joshua to lead me in everything. He became my oracle, my own private direct line to God. Any situation that arose in my life, any doubt or confusion, I would bring to Joshua. He would listen carefully, ask me questions, and then tell me what to do. And I would do it. Simple. If it didn't turn out right the first time, I'd come back for further instructions and try again till it did work. With my master at the wheel and myself as the engine, we were an unstoppable vehicle of change. I knew it was only a matter of time till we made all our dreams come true this way. Over the next few years, we restored my family to something better and stronger than it was before. I wrote a memoir about our relationship and published it under the pen name Karma Said. I began speaking about us in public, interviewing about us, writing articles. I know it's trite, but it also is entirely accurate to say that I became the hero of my own story. Joshua undertook his own hero's journey during this time. A few weeks after he and I met, Joshua went through a rough breakup with his then primary partner, who subsequently shredded his professional reputation. Starting over from nothing, he launched a different venture with a new partner, only to be shut down twice over, first by his ex and then again by COVID. Once the world reopened, though, Joshua slowly restored his reputation and his business, flourishing once more into the successful mentor he always knew himself to be. Another new venue followed, with new transformational workshops, new faces and followers, on a bigger scale than before. It was Joshua's rebirth, and it was exhilarating to behold. And for a good chunk of it, I was right there with him. Sometimes as his knight, sometimes as his bishop, sometimes just a pawn, depending on what other pieces were on the board. But I was there, and we marched together as victors for some time. There's one thing no hero can beat, and that's their own story arc. That's why it's called an arc. It starts low, it goes up, 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 and then inevitably comes back down again. You feel it too, don't you, reader? Our story slowing, winding down. There are many passages I could use to illustrate this trajectory. I'll pick the one that gets it through it the fastest. Joshua plays the lead in many transformational love stories. I was never meant to be the only one. 5 years in, after my marriage healed, after the book was published and done with, after many shared projects came and went, our connection began to meander, and new connections took center stage in Joshua's life. I was free to do the same with my own life. I just didn't want to. I was still too stubborn to let go. Rather than becoming the hero of a new story in which Joshua wasn't my co-star, I stayed on as a supporting character in his, playing smaller and smaller roles. Joshua blamed this on me for not contributing enough for his life anymore, not showing up enough for him. I blamed it on him for canceling our appointments and not showing up enough for me. We were probably both right, since it amounts to the same thing. Aww. That would have been a shitty ending. Luckily, it's just the origin story that's wrapping. There's still a whole book to experience. More importantly, I still have my secret fort, which travels through space and time with me. I never left it. It's currently in the guest bedroom. Not a leafy cove anymore, just an armchair surrounded by houseplants, but it does the job. There, I close my eyes and live our other lives together. In those lives, we travel coast to coast and beyond. We dance at night around a bonfire on the beach, surrounded by friends. We take David and the kids out for a movie at noon, and then we go home together for dinner. And they all criticize my cooking. Even in my fantasies, I can't imagine myself being a good cook. Sometimes I imagine the stories we had already lived through, the ones coming up in the next chapters, the striving, the achievements, the celebrations, the parties, the orgies, the love rising up and overflowing through multiple bodies. Other times, I imagine us simply walking down the street together, arm in arm, talking like we still do. Or laying together on the stained yellow sofa in Joshua's studio, with my cheek against his chest, his heartbeat thudding loud and steady in my ear. I imagine parts of who we already are, and it reminds me that what is never fixed, never finite. That reality isn't solid, it's fluid. That water can flow right past a dead end sign. That I'm the one who put the sign there to begin with. That there is no sign, only words in my mind, and all those words are just words, and I am free to weave them into whatever conclusion I wish them to become. Sometimes I don't stop there even, I just keep going, dissolving what is known until the very fabric of reality unravels, and all that remains on the spectrum between real and unreal is the loud, steady beating of my heart. It makes the exact same sound as Joshua's does. They might as well be the same heart. You might assume that a woman who lives hidden in an armchair is lonely and unhappy. Yes, sometimes I am. The world in my head is no longer enough to sustain me. But I haven't been hiding here for long, and I won't be staying much longer. Soon, I'll let go, becoming the hero of my own story once more. Joshua might not play the lead with me. Doesn't matter. He's with me even when he's not. We have the same heart.
That's beautiful.
Aww.
If I can say I'm proud of you, past my human limits, I'm deeply proud of you.
Aww.
And taking everything you've learned and putting it into use and not just knowledge.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, I wanted that. Oh. Yay.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too. That means a lot.
I love you.
I love you too, Master.